Gentlemen of the press will take a couple because they still need to catch a flight back to Abuja, and I'm sure you know they do daily reportage.
So, Mr. Governor, we're just going to have 3 questions because the guests need to go back to Abuja.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Hello.
You just say who the question is for.
Okay. Good evening, sir. My name is Ade Doja. Salam Adeni. I work with CVC News. Okay. Okay, my first question goes to the Minister for Health. Sir, I would like you to tell us that we know that the U.S. state of New York has just approved protocols for antibody testing as a way of finding a fast antidote for COVID-19. We would like to know, beyond clinical trials for chloroquine, what other options you are exploring in Nigeria. And to the governor of Lagos State, sir, we heard yesterday by the Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, that with the stay-at-home order, the curve of the rise of COVID-19 is flattening already. Now that people are on the streets, people are actually flouting the law, the stay-at-home law now, at least about 3 days ago, and we've not been seeing military on the roads as well. We would like to know if you are going to embark on the street enforcement over this. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sirs. I am Mary Alale Yusuf from Channels Television. I'd like to know, after you have been around Lagos, this is to the minister, the other states, are they as prepared as Lagos to handle their COVID-19 cases right now? And then to the governor, you spoke about the team here, seeing your level of preparedness in the isolation centers, and then you spoke about other levels of preparedness. I want to know what those other levels are. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. My name is Tokunbo Yetunji. I report for Arise TV News. I would like to know how much of attention you are paying to getting a possible locally cure for COVID-19. Then secondly, are we looking at any specific time when the lockdown in Lagos, Abuja, and Ogun will end, or we are looking at an extension? First one for the minister, and I think the second one for the SGF.
Thank you very much. Those are the 3 questions for now, sir.
Excellency, the Governor, Secretary of the Government, Honorable Ministers, and Commissioners here present. The coronavirus, as you know, is described as a novel virus. A novel virus means that it's new, and the medicines that might work against it are not yet very clear. So different trials are going on in various places. People are trying all sorts of methods, and part of what you said just now is being tried, the use of convalescent plasma, which is taken from people who have had the coronavirus. They have been treated successfully, so you can take their plasma and see if you can use it for other people who are seriously ill. These are still trials that are still being reviewed and will be confirmed as time goes on. The same goes for chloroquine. Chloroquine has been found in some tests to work outside the body, what you call in vitro testing. But if you take it inside, if you swallow it and take it, whether it really works the same way as it works outside in a test tube, if it works in the test tube as well as it does outside, it's not yet very clear. Most of the countries in this world depend on the declaration from the World Health Organization, because the World Health Organization collates all this research and studies them and then makes the recommendation for countries to take. We also look at the World Health Organization, and we are joining in some of the studies that World Health Organization is organizing here in Lagos. The Honorable Commissioner of Health is doing all he can to participate in the trials, clinical trials for convalescent plasma and chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, and the azithromycin that is being used in France. So The other question is whether the other states are well prepared. Well, they're as prepared as can be, but Lagos State, of course, a front runner. You know that more than 50% of all the cases of coronavirus in the country are here in Lagos. And quite clearly, because Lagos is an international airport and a country where we have the most travelers coming into the country are coming through Lagos. And this is an imported pathogen. It's not an indigenous pathogen. So the proportion for those ports of entry is relatively high. Abuja has the second highest, also because of travel, and importation from other areas can also increase your percentage. But the Lagos State has the additional advantage that they did very well in 2014 when they were handling the Ebola case. So there's a lot of institutional memory which is left over, which is helping a lot. And I have told the commissioner that as other states begin to develop their public health response and protocols, they will come here to come and do some sort of study, maybe 1 or 2 weeks of hands-on to learn the tricks that Lagos has. So Lagos is very well prepared. Other states are trying. There are only few cases outside, so there's no comparison with what is here in Lagos. As to local cure, again, the question is how many how much do we know about this virus in order to find a cure? We look into every assertion. Some people say they have the herbs, and some people say they have the concoction. But for those who are serious, well, we have a department in the Ministry of Health, which is the Department of Traditional, Complementary, and Alternative Medicine, which will look into your claims. We do not throw away any suggestion, but the efficacy and effectiveness of medicine has to be proven before you are going to recommend it to people to take. So those traditional methods of cure are subject to study. I think that's all for the health sector.
Thank you very much. So there were questions for the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Sir, there's a microphone, but it's going to be placed on the mic holder there.
I think there was only one question for me.
Thank you very much.
I think there was only one question for me as to whether the lockdown will be extended. Basically, this is part of the consultation. We are looking at the objectives that were set when the lockdown or the quarantine declaration was signed by the president and subsequently by several other states. Before the end of the week, we'll do an evaluation, and part of the trip here was to do an evaluation to see how the objectives that were set are being met. And at the end of that exercise, we would have the responsibility of reporting to Mr. President, because Mr. President in his declaration did state that it was on the advice of the Minister of Health and the health experts that informed his decision to sign the Quarantine Declaration 2020. At the end of our evaluation, a certain set of recommendations and advice will go to Mr. President. And at that point, he and he alone will take the decision as to when the lockdown would either be extended or it will stop at the expiration of 14 days. Because in his address to the nation, he did say 14 days in the first instance. So it's open. It is based on what has happened within these 14 days. And the objectives that have been set, have they been met? Have we achieved success in the direction that we wanted to go? If that has been achieved, he will look at all the information available to him as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I can assure you that he will take a decision that is in the best interest of the people of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Governor.
Thank you very much. I think there's also one question for me regarding what are the other facilities or what are the other things we're doing. Okay, so there's several other levels of things we're doing outside of the sane isolation centers. So we have other facilities that were also reserved in the event that we need to trigger the usage of those facilities. An example is, so when we have people coming from the land border, right, and there was a request about yesterday about some people coming from the land border, and we needed to activate a facility at Badagry. So we have 2 facilities at Badagry, right? So when that happens, those facilities will go live, right? So we also have facilities in Ekpe, we have at Alimo Shore, we have in Lekki, we have in other places that are just waiting in the event that we need to activate and clear those facilities, especially for quarantine. If we need to just hold people for 14 days, we don't know their status, or just, we're not sure if it will manifest or not, so just to hold you down and see how you evolve, because it's not every case that you need to take to a red zone in the isolation center. You need to have what we call like a holding bay, and so those are the kind of facilities that we've also made available for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Governor, sir, may I crave your indulgence to take one more question?
What's the question?
Okay, sir.
Omolara Omosoya is my name. I work for Radio Nigeria. Sir, my question is going to be directed to the SGF.
Oh, it's to me.
Yes, sir. In his nationwide broadcast, President Muhammadu Buhari promised to send relief materials to residents of Lagos, the states that are locked down. Already, the Lagos state government has distributed food stimulus to a category of people. So when is it going to get to the turn of Lagos residents, particularly those that are on the lowest rung of the economic ladder?
My brother, the governor of Lagos, is part of the federal government. So he's an extension of the president. And what he did is commendable, and that he took that step to ensure that, because the primary responsibility for the welfare of the people is for those that are in government. By extension, the president and the governor of Lagos State. And he's demonstrated that by what he has done. In my address, I did mention the fact that he has already directed that 70,000 tons of what we have kept in our strategic grain reserve be released for the particular purpose of addressing as a palliative to the vulnerable, the poor of the poorest in our communities. And about 6,800 metric tons is dedicated to Lagos, Ogun, and the Federal Capital Territory. Yesterday, the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, and Social Development was in Mina to take over portions of the grain from the strategic silos that we have across the country. The one in Mina has some certain consignments. She was there yesterday to symbolically take it over. They are in the processes of bagging and rebagging. Those processes, like I said in my address this afternoon, that of Lagos, they will soon start delivering to Lagos for distribution to people who are deserving of these palliatives. It's not everybody that needs grains, but for those people that are deserving of these palliatives, I believe that very, very soon, probably within the next couple of days, Lagos State would have its share. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. That will be the end of this session. And we want to thank our guests from the Federal Capital Territory, the State of Power in Abuja. Mr. Governor, that's the end of the briefing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.